our first guest this morning. We don't usually jump right into the guest, but that's exactly what we're going to do here because really excited to have a guy who is inspiring. And it's one of the best things about social media, right? Easy to criticize social media. A lot of bad stuff out there, but there's a lot of good stuff too. And this guy came to my attention via social media, and now he's going to be coming to Columbia, to my little town up in Tega Cay right after that in a couple of weeks or less than that at this point, and really happy to be joined now by Coach Ballgame. Sir, welcome in live from, we're still kicking in Nashville right now in the hotel?
That's right, Tim. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Are we good?
Bright and clear, brother.
I love it. We're in Nashville right now. We just had a Nashville Sandlot, and like the circus, me and my wife and daughters were just cruising the countryside, Johnny Appleseeding our way across America and finding sandlots to throw down some bases and play ball. Man, it's a pretty fun gig.
Oh, fantastic. Can you explain to us how you became Coach Ballgame, how this became your life?
Yeah, so I grew up in North Carolina, not far from you, little one-horse town called Franklinville, but loved all the sports. Went to Brown University, played baseball there, and then I thought, well, I'll just be a professional baseball player, and then we'll see where we're at when I'm 50. Didn't get drafted, so I kind of had to pull myself up by my bootstraps and figure out what to do. So I thought, well, what do I love? I love music. I love art. I love writing, and I love baseball. So LA was the spot. Let's move to LA and see what we can do with all those interests. And my 20s were really just figuring it all out, and failing at most of it, waiting tables and substitute teaching and auditioning for roles and playing a lot of music with bands. But this through line was coaching baseball with a buddy of mine that I'd played with at Brown University. Um, that was always like I could hang my hat on that job, helping him run camps and do baseball lessons for kids. Then I got married, and my wife kind of gave me a little push. Let's call it an empowering maneuver. Uh, Maybe sometimes I thought it was an ultimatum, but she said, "Hey, you could really run this show. You could do this thing." And I'm like, "No, I'm safe where I'm at." But she really pushed me in this direction of, "Why don't you marry all of these interests you have?" Um, I mean, you love to dress up in weird characters. You love to play the drums, and you love to write poetry, and you love coaching kids. So all of that married into one on a baseball field is Coach Ball Game. And we live in Orange County, California, where I was, I was running my own camps and um, starting to build a good following there. And then somebody came up to me and said, "Why don't you create your own little league, your own version of little league? Because um, there's a space for it. There's a lot of kids that are getting pushed out, or they feel overwhelmed when they come to a tryout, or they've just had a bad experience and they want to walk away from the game." And so I started this alternative league called the Sandlot, and we just call it Coach Ball Game Sandlot. And I run once a week games in Orange County just to give people a different lens to look through when they're watching baseball. I make it really fun, and I make it about character education, pure and simple. And then the wins and the skill development, that kind of comes later down the priority list. But who would have thought that'd be novel to make baseball really fun for kids and make it about character education? Um, and so it started to kind of blow up in Orange County, and to the point where I had people reaching out over social media, "Hey, can you bring that fun game to Oklahoma or to Vancouver, to Florida?" So um, we're getting around, the word's getting out, and South Carolina's next.
Absolutely. Columbia is August 28th. Pop up the tour here, Tega Cay, up in my neck of the woods. The next day after that, you can go on coachballgame.com and sign up and be ready to roll there. And you're all over the place. How do you go from New Jersey on the 22nd to Georgia the next day? That's going to be that's a heck of a turnaround for you.
Just a little bit of planning is all. So I'm doing these evening sandlots on this tour because kids are back in school
Right.
now, most of them. So I just did Nashville last night. I get a little breather, and then I'll fly into Philly this weekend, hang out with some old college buddies over the weekend, then do New Jersey Monday, first flight out of Philly Tuesday morning to get to Atlanta for the evening sandlot there. And then we got Jefferson, Savannah. And then actually I go up to Columbia. I've signed on with MLB to help run their play ball camps, which is their initiative to grow the game for kids. So I actually, on the 26th, I fly from Columbia, South Carolina, up to Queens, up to New York, run a play ball camp with them, then back down for the South Carolina Sandlots to close up shop. But I love it, man. My favorite thing to do is to bring, what I do to brand new ears and let kids see it. Yeah, what that looks like Miami right there. I think I was just in Miami with MLB doing some play ball stuff. But I tell these kids about this guy, Roberto Clemente, who was all about kindness and loading up airplanes full of gifts and flying these airplanes to poor countries and giving poor people gifts like Santa Claus. And when kids hear that, they will treat it as creed, just like if they hear a parent arguing at an umpire, they'll treat that as creed. Okay, that's what we're supposed to do here. So I just saw this kind of uh, toxic nature seeping into youth sports, where it's all about win at all costs, and you got to win the game. And I'll yell at the umpire, I'll scream at the player, or I'll get in a fight with a parent if I have to. And I'm not bashing youth parents. They think they're doing the right thing, but it's my job to educate them and shine a light on what major league players are saying, managers, college coaches. Like, that's not it. That doesn't have to be, just because it's popular doesn't make it right. Why don't we play multiple sports? Why don't we become a good athlete? That's what the major leaguers are saying. Then when it does matter, when you're getting paid to play, and the St. Louis Cardinals need you to play outfield instead of infield. Ooh, I played basketball in high school. I know how to take that first step. Or I played football in high school. I've got that toughness that I need to get through the minor leagues. But there's this race to get to the finish line when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, that the kids are getting burnt out mentally and physically. And I had to do something about it. So here comes the Sandlot.
Kudos to you, sir, for doing something about it. It's easy for us to get on a soapbox and give gas baggy hot takes about it and point the finger and wag and the whole thing, but you're actually doing something about it. You mentioned what major leaguers are saying. How about Albert Pujols? Got a chance to hang out with him recently, huh?
Yeah, that brought some chills. So I've gotten to know him pretty well, and we've become friends. Which it just seems so weird to say that. Like the best hitter of my generation, and one of the greatest of all time. The fact that like we text is kind of crazy. But honestly, a good friend of mine who everybody knows, the voice of the game for the last 30 years, Joe Buck, he's opened up a lot of doors. And when he started opening up doors with MLB and the St. Louis Cardinals, then guys like Albert Pujols is like, okay, who is this guy? I'll pay attention to him now because Joe and his dad Jack have been in the game for 60 years. And so I try to be prepared and ready when the door opens. And Albert loves kids. Albert wants to grow the game, and he is a man of strong faith. So he's going to love this message of positivity and making good choices and having high character. And he runs a foundation called the Pujols Family Foundation. They work with impoverished kids in the Dominican, where he's from, and the Down syndrome community. So for the last couple of years, as we do this Sandlot tour, when I'm in St. Louis, we do a Sandlot for the kids with Down syndrome. And when he showed up on Monday, it's not like these kids with Down syndrome were fanboys or fangirls. They just went up and hugged him, and he's like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a few months. How you doing?" He's known them for 18 years. They've known him for their whole lives because he's been working with them in this community, for the last 20 years almost. So it's almost like Uncle Albert or a father figure, and that's um, probably goes unrecognized by most people is what he does for this community with Down syndrome. And he's just a sweet, sweet teddy bear of a guy, gives a great hug, and he just so happens to be one of the greatest of all time.
Great story, man, and it's kinda sad that we don't hear more about that. That is what it is, and, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this right now, is to shine a light on good things like that. You also got a chance to hit up the Field of Dreams recently, right?
Yeah, man. And there's my oldest, Avery Jean, nicknamed Baby Ballgame. But this was my second year there. The great story behind how the road trip started, I was it was about 2 years ago, and I got a call from a lady named Sandy, and she said, "You don't know me, um, but my husband just passed away from a long fight with cancer, and before he passed, he had watched one of your videos and he loved your message of character and fun, baseball. He was a teacher and a coach for 50 years. Uh, well, before he passed, he said, instead of a celebration of life or flowers, let's raise some money and send it to this dude." They didn't know me. I thought this was a prank call. Then I talked to her son, also his son. This is the Schreckengast family, Dave and Sandy Schreckengast. I talked to Matt, their son, and he's like, "There's no joke here. You're going to get some Venmo." And $20,000 later, I'm getting Venmos from his former uh, players because he was a coach, students. He was also a teacher. And we're like, "What do we do with this money?" We like opened up another bank account, and me and my wife start thinking, we've got to take this on the road. The best thing I can do is take my Sandlot to different towns and just give kids nicknames and just share, share the story of Roberto Clemente with them and have fun playing baseball. So that's what we did. Last year, we flew into Iowa for the first time, and I found some boots on the ground there who was a football player at Brown, a friend of mine. He grew up in Dyersville, Iowa. So we did a Sandlot there in that town. This was last year. Day of, I wasn't going to go to the game. That was White Sox Yankees, and all my college friends surprised me with a ticket. So I got to go to the game last year. Costner comes out of the corn, which was amazing because I showed up 3 hours early. And what stood out was you've got the Little League movie site field by the house. That's a Little League field. Then you walk through this field of corn, and MLB has built this MLB stadium. When you get to the movie site field from the parking lot, which is just mowed corn, there's dads and sons playing catch. There's mothers and daughters and grandpas and granddaughters all playing catch on this field, and they've got the music playing. It's just magical. You get those chills, the feels, the "Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch" feels. And then there's these 90-year-old women from Iowa with canes and walkers asking, "How do I get to the game?" And it was the first major league game in the state of Iowa, so they're just walking through the corn to get to this game. They were not going to miss that game. Fast forward to this year, we had to go back to Dyersville, and I was able to bring the girls, and we got to play catch on the movie site field, and we got to go through the house and sit on that bench um, uh, and the swing outside the movie site. And yeah, same thing. It's a little bit different. It's like now my 8-year-old daughter is asking me to play catch. It's like the roles have shifted, from me asking my dad. So I don't think that'll ever change. I think you could go back in 100, 200, 300 years, and that same feeling's going to happen. And everybody just thinks about dad when they go there.
Got a bunch of fellow coaches are going to hop on here with us and shout some questions at you, shoot them your way. But before we did that, I wanted to get it out there for those who might be hearing about you for the first time, hearing about the Sandlot for the first time. If you sign your child up for a Sandlot with Coach Ballgame, what, as a parent, should you be expecting your child to get?
Yeah, so there's no dress code at the Sandlot. Wear what you wish. Blue jeans are invited, like Benny the Jet Rodriguez and Smalls. They're going to show up, and the first thing I'm going to do is give them a nickname because I've learned along the way that a kid is going to respond and listen and trust you if you ask them questions. Hey, what's your name? What's your nickname? What'd you have for breakfast? What's your favorite animal? What's your favorite superhero? So engaging and welcoming them with a nickname is the first rule of Sandlot. Second rule of Sandlot, you got to be kind. You got to be super kind to others, respectful to your coaches, pay attention, listen. And then the third rule is we got to have an outrageous amount of fun. So I sing songs, I quote poetry, I have catchphrases for the different skills of catching and throwing and fielding and hitting. Um, but yeah, it's really 3 hours of lots and lots of fun. We work the skills the first hour with partner throw and catch because baseball is a big game of catch. And then I'll tell a story about my hero, Roberto Clemente. And then we just split them up into different groups based on their age. And we have some local coaches that help run these different Sandlot games. So we might have a game going in left field, a game going in right field, a game going in the infield, a bunch of different games going on, and we just use a tennis ball. Sometimes we just use one bat. Sometimes we leave our gloves in the bag and just play bare hand. And we just give these kids an idea of what it can be. You don't have to have the best equipment. You can just find a ball, you can find a bat, you can find some trash for bases, and you can play the game. And I've got my drum out there, and I'm banging on that drum, and just making sure that each kid uh, understands that at the Sandlot we keep score of your character. So I've got a lot of baseball cards I give out if they're hustling, cheering loud, being respectful and kind, paying attention. Um, Home runs are great, but I think good choices are much greater.
It's a great message for everybody, kids, parents, coaches, all included. So I'm going to get a bunch of guys that I know to pop right in here who are coaching kids right now. And I want to see if you guys got any specific questions for Coach Ballgame there. Well, I'll try not to speak at the same time. Maybe we'll go in some sort of order. Jot, what about you? You've been on the longest. Why don't we let you start with Coach Ballgame there?
Yeah, Coach Ballgame. First off, been great talking to you over the last month. Look forward to meeting you and playing a game of catch. Tim, I appreciate you throwing this together for us. Just kind of a quick, in a nutshell synopsis. We kind of live in a baseball hotbed, extremely competitive, and so anytime we say there's a new camp coming to town, it's right away. What kind of skill set are we learning, or what's the focus? So I just didn't know if you had like again, just kind of a quick, in a nutshell, sales pitch of how your camp is different for those ones that hadn't seen the videos, that haven't, that's been living under a social media rock, I guess, and hadn't stumbled upon Coach Ballgame.
Yeah, I guess you could think of it as a throwback, and it is a novel approach where when you hear baseball camp, you're thinking, okay, elite. Yeah, you're thinking, how do we get them into a good high school program, or what college coaches are going to be there to watch the how fast they run and how fast they throw and what their exit velocity is. This is this is character education on a baseball field. And that shines through right away. I ask them to get in a team meeting pose. Maybe it's going to be 120 of them in New Jersey in a couple days. And I'm going to try and get all of them locked in, uncomfortable eye contact. And I'm going to ask them to make good choices all day long. And then I'm going to create this atmosphere of FUN, 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 fun. We give all the coaches nicknames, all the kids nicknames, And the skill development, it's there, but it does not shine through as strong as, I want to make this kid a better father one day. I want to make this kid a better mother, a better, bigger sister, a better server of their community. And I want the parents to feel like this is a birthday party. That's the vibe that really shines through without pushing it down their throats. After 3 hours, they walk home and they're singing these songs that they just learned about how to catch and how to throw and how to field. Their skill development is there. It happened. But we didn't keep score of the game. We kept score of their choices. So I think without the kids realizing it, they learned a lot of skills, because I am pretty skill heavy, but I kind of drop it in here and there throughout the 3 hours, because I want them to become a better person. I mean, when they're 16, 17 years old, I can ask them, hey, try and hit the ball hard to right center field, and they'll do it on the next try. But when they're 7, 8 years old, they just don't have they're incapable of doing that. So when I first started out coaching, I would get mad at myself because this 7-year-old wasn't fielding a ground ball, or this 6-year-old wasn't trying to hit the ball the other way. And then I realized, what am I doing here? This kid is 6 years old. When I was 6, I was playing basketball. I wasn't even playing baseball. So you just want to give them the love of the game, and that's what I do. I want to teach them to love baseball, and then when they're close to getting paid to play, then they can learn how to play the game the right way. So, yeah, that's it. Teach them to love it.
Good stuff over there, man. Let's go to, I think, maybe the guy who has to get back to work the fastest. Joe, you are not in a bathroom right now, are you, Joe Trout?
No, Tim, I'm not. I'm
Okay,
in some kind of little phone booth in my building.
I love it. You got the floor with Coach Ballgame there, Joe.
All right, Tim, thanks for putting this together as well. And Coach, thank you for joining us. I think it's an honor and a privilege to have you on this call. I've watched a ton of your videos. I see the excitement you bring. And I mean, I can't wait for you to come to Tega Cay in 2 weeks. I can't wait to hear what my nickname is going to be. So, you know, this is a heads up. You can start working on that now for us.
That's the deal. Probably
All right.
going to call you phone booth. I think phone booth is it.
Perfect. But my question to you really is, so I coach a group of kids who are right now anywhere from 6 years old up to 8, almost 9. So the level of play is pretty drastic, right? You have some kids who can barely throw the ball to some kids who are pretty highly skilled. What would you say is, you know, the major component in keeping those 8-year-olds who have a good idea of the game engaged and having fun and still growing, while as a coach, I still have to prepare the younger kids in their fundamentals?
Yep, perfect. Great question. And this is going to happen down the line too. You know, hopefully you're going to have that 13-year-old that has never played but is interested in the game, and there's a welcoming atmosphere for them, you know. So you're going to have different skill levels on one team of 12 kids, you know, for the unseeable future. Partner throw and catch is the first thing I think of, and then small groups. So, you know, you want to make sure that the elite players are playing catch and working on their partner throw and catch with each other. You don't want the first timer throwing with the elite player. And then you can break them up into small groups where you're working on hitting skills, pitching skills, fielding skills, and just group them up by skill level once again. That way, you don't have the first timer you know, trying to work on line drives with the elite players. So breaking them up by that. I'm hearing an echo before I continue. Tim, do you hear that too?
I do not. I think you're good on my end. I think maybe some other guys are getting it. We'll see if we can mess with that real quick.
All good.
If YouTube, you can probably get out of that and just into the studio. That's how I got rid of my echo.
Attaboy, Jeff. Look at you.
Scholar salute right there.
Seton Hall.
So but it's also important to make sure that the smalls can connect with the Benny the Jet, right? And I was able to talk to the writer and director of the movie The Sandlot, and he was bullied as a kid. And so he wrote a movie about the childhood he never had, and he turned all the bullies into heroes. That's why Benny the Jet, the best player, befriended Smalls and taught him how to catch and throw. So you want to have that aspect of it too. You want to have your best player fist bumping the newcomer and letting him know, hey, dude, I got your back. You can learn this game at your pace, and it's all good. So that's why I do scrimmage games, but I'll do it with maybe a tennis ball or a soft baseball. That way that newcomer is not going to get rifled with a hard ball right to the nose. I'm very aware of the safety aspects of it. That way we feel like a team, but at the same time, that elite player is getting challenged because they're in their small groups with players of their caliber.
Good stuff there, Joe. Appreciate the question, man. And phone booth, you will be forever known as. It sounds
Done.
like.
All right. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. So I guess I'll pop guys out here. I'll try to get rid of that echo for you if we can there, Coach Ballgame. We'll let Jeff get up there next, since you're solving problems for us, Jeff, and help put the whole thing together up in Tega Cay.
I'll tell you what, man. IT help is not my forte, so thank you for allowing me to opine there. Tim, thanks for putting this together. Coach Ballgame, you and I have been on the text string with Jot too, I'm sure, to bring this Sandlot to Tega Cay, man. And I can't even remember how I first got your name. It was probably just by following MLB through Insta that I, check every now and then. But man, the minute I clicked on your link, saw your videos, I was hooked, man. And your positivity is just infectious. So thank you for that. And I have 1,000,001 baseball strategy coaching questions, but I guess the real one I have is, if you could choose one bat for the rest of your life, are you going Green Easton or Black Magic?
Oof, man, that's good.
We got some old timers on this podcast here. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. First off, I think your nickname's going to have to be Radio Shack. I think we got you dialed in there for Tega Cay. Yeah, I got to go Green Easton because I've hung out with those folks. We actually had there was a big social media influencer gathering of any baseball influencer at Easton, and they gave everybody one of these old green Easton bats. And yeah, I mean, that was like my older brother's bat, and then they handed that down to me, and that just kind of speaks to when I learned the game. So I'm going Green Easton, man, all the way.
I'm the same way. And you may meet my dad at the Sandlot, and he will attest. When I was in high school, I was convinced that and I grew up in the Northeast too, so I was convinced that if I wrapped my Green Easton in a towel and stuck it under my radiator, it would keep it warm until spring and get me all sorts of hits come baseball season.
That's good stuff.
Good stuff, Jeff, man. Thanks for popping on with us. Another guy who knows about warm bats, maybe a Gamecock Clemson controversy over there. 2010 national champ Jay Brown, the best dressed by far. I'm sure you're going to get a good nickname for that, Jay. And you're one of the coaches leading the ERMO division here, so you're going to get the Columbia Sandlot on the 28th, I believe. Floor is yours, sir. Good to see you. Thanks for hopping in, man.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Glad to be here, Coach Ballgame. Thanks for joining us. I guess I have one question, and my son is 8, coming on 9, and we're starting, done the All-Stars, and when I was growing up, travel ball was just starting to become a thing, right? And we played 3 or 4 sports out of the year, and now you look around and they're 6 years old that are specializing in baseball. And so I guess kind of your take, like what does the travel ball landscape, look like for an 8-year-old? Like, do we need to be focused on baseball only, or how long do we play all the sports?
Great question, and I think we'll call you Men's Warehouse or Brooks Brothers, whatever you want to go with there. But I mean, take it from the major leaguers, and I've been able to interview a lot of them on my podcast, Mookie Betts and Jock Peterson and Kike Hernandez and Dave Roberts, and lucky enough to meet a lot of these Hall of Famers. And I asked them, hey, what do you think of this travel ball community? Were you doing this at 8 years old? And they all say the same thing. Multiple sports, teach them to love the game and become a good athlete. And they just preach big picture, big picture, big picture. If you are running, and I think travel ball is necessary for the elite player, but if you're running into a travel ball coach that is not allowing them to play soccer or swim or be a kid, then they're in it for the wrong reasons. And I know the travel ball has turned into a big money game, but that kid, and I saw it firsthand with my best friend growing up, that kid is going to get a full ride to Chapel Hill or get drafted by the Rangers. And by the time they're 18, they're going to be burnt out, and they're going to, you pushed them to be a grown up when they were 8. So when they turn 18, they just want to be a kid. So you have to watch out for that. You got to really kind of have your head on the swivel and make sure, is this coach in it for the right reasons? And those reasons are skill development and fun of play and joy of play. If he's pushing your kid to pitch Friday night, catch Saturday morning, play shortstop Saturday afternoon, and win this trophy when they're 8, then you got to move on. You got to try something else, because do you want to be the 8-year-old with the most trophies or the 18-year-old with the strongest arm and a passion bucket full of love for the game of baseball? I mean, the reason I moved down the lane I did, which is once a week, Sandlot games, fun, character. I had a 7-year-old come up to one of my camps and said, my 7U travel ball coach won't let me play soccer because I got to play year-round baseball. And he wanted to play baseball on this team because all his friends are there. He also wanted to play soccer. He also wanted to just be a kid. That's nuts. And I thought that was a one-off. That has to just be one mentally ill travel ball coach. And then I heard story after story after story after story. And I was like, oh, there's a problem in youth sports. And it's up to us to shine a light on it and fix it. So yeah, when you start to notice this feels like this coach is just wanting to win a trophy today, win at all costs, then I challenge you to move on or start your own, travel ball. And maybe your own travel ball team is a Sandlot where, you're getting very high caliber players Saturday afternoons once a week. And yeah, they can challenge each other. The kid pitch, kid catch. It's really awesome games, but there's so many different soccer fields out there where you could just drop some bases down and play ball. So whenever somebody comes to me and says, well, my kid's elite and this is the only avenue, I say, well, have you tried starting your own Sandlot, or have you tried something else? Just to make sure that your kid doesn't get burnout. I think that's the number one priority. Don't let them burn out. They should be the one begging to go to the field and asking to play. And you really want them begging to go to the field when they're 16, 17, 18. Big picture all the way.
Good stuff there. Good question, Jay. Appreciate popping in with us here for sure. Joe, what about you? Joe Riley up next here.
Thanks, Tim, and thanks, Coach Ballgame. Got 2 questions. Number one, first going back to when you were at Brown, did you ever stay around during the summer and play in the summer leagues in Newport or Cape Cod?
I wish. I just wasn't quite good enough. I did go down to the CPL and played in my hometown, Ashboro. They used to be the Copperheads. Now they're the Zookeepers in the CPL. But I did stay one summer and take some classes at Brown. So I was able to hop over to the Cape and watch my buddy Matt Cutler, who was at Brown, and he played in the Cape. And I love it. I'm actually planning on doing some Sandlots next summer in the Northeast. So I'm going to hit the Cape, Boston, Providence, and on down to New York, because it's time to bring my Sandlot back to my alma mater for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. And the second question I had,
Joe, wait a second. Jay, actually, you played in the Cape, right? Back in the day. You would who'd you play for, Jay?
Yes, I actually spent 2 summers, Hyannis and Cotuit. So it's
man.
The Sandlot would be awesome up there. It's a throwback as it is, that league, but bringing something like this would be phenomenal.
So I'll hook you,
Absolutely.
Joe. I'll hook you and Jay up, and you guys can talk a bunch of Cape Cod stuff for sure.
Good deal. And my second question is like, as a youth coach, you know, we're measured differently, but but realistically, it's like how many kids sign up for the next season. You know, that's a success. And realistically, in your view, you know, out of a 12, 13 kid, you know, team, what is a realistic number to get those returning, you know, the following season, you know, setting a goal?
Yeah, well, I think outside the box. So my goal is 100%. I want to get them all coming back, because every coach I talk to, it doesn't matter the level of play or the age, you're looking through this lens. Am I making them want to come back next year because of the fun and joy that I'm creating? And then two, am I making them a better person by being around me? And when you look through that lens, a lot of things change, and you're not as negative. I remember being very passive aggressive early on in my coaching, because if a kid missed a ground ball or they were lazy, then I thought, oh, they don't want to be here. Let's wean them out. Go play a different sport. Go play tennis. Meanwhile, they're not going to play another sport. They're giving up on all sports and going to play video games. But it took a few years for me to figure that out and just look through the right lens. So if you can try to get them all to come back, I think you're doing it right. Realistically, that's probably not going to happen. Some kids are just going to move on once they hit the teenage years. Plus, middle school ball is dying, and high school ball is basically just one step after travel ball. You know, you've got your travel ball players that are just moving right into the high school play. So that's why I created this brand new thing. You know, just a new space where, hey, maybe down the road, college graduates that don't want to settle into a full-time job can start their own Sandlot, and you know, they can go by my bullet points of how to run it the right way, and we'll have a Sandlot in every city by 2030. Why not? Just to make sure 100% of those kids are coming back.
Good stuff there for sure. Chris, looks like you get the last one this morning.
Fantastic. I appreciate the message. Thank you, Coach. I'll piggyback off the last question and conversation. I know you're delivering the message that Sandlot's fun. We want to bring fun back to baseball, but we've all seen the coaches and the dads that make it not fun. Do you do anything during these Sandlot experiences to address, either directly or indirectly, with the adults in the crowd, that baseball needs to still be fun?
100%. And a lot of times I engage the parents who hopefully hang around and don't leave. They hang around, watch their kid play. I have all my team meetings near the bleachers where all the parents are. And, you know, I'll throw out some 90s references, some Dumb and Dumber references, you know, some Hootie and the Blowfish references, just to kind of go over the kids' heads and hit the parents and engage them and turn their ears on. But yeah, I'd say more than half of what I do is to educate the parents, because those parents are going to impact dozens and dozens of kids in the upcoming season. So the stories that I tell, and yeah, I lay it on pretty thick, and it's pretty clear when you're there. Oh, I think this guy is trying to talk straight to the parents, right over the heads of the kids, because the kids, they're giving me that uncomfortable eye contact, and they're grasping all the joy and passion that I let out. But then, you know, you want the parents to just look through that lens that I talked about. And I had Barry Zito come to the Sandlot. He lives in Nashville, and so he brought his kids to the Sandlot last night. I mean, a Cy Young Award winner, high level player. And after the Sandlot, he's like, man, I love the way you were able to engage these kids. I was taking notes left and right, because I played a high level baseball, but I don't know how to wrangle these 6-year-olds. You know, how do I get them to pay attention and listen? When I send an email out to all my Sandlots, I say, parents, you don't have to stay, but it'll be a fun watch, and probably gonna build your tool pouch up for when you start parenting and coaching. Because let's be honest, it's the parents that are ruining our great game, and it's my job to fix that.
Man, that is ambitious for sure. All of us who have coached understand that, and really, I think appreciate it in a real and authentic way. Everything you've done, guys. Thanks for popping on today, Coach Ballgame. Really appreciate your time. Again, let me pop up the exact tour here. Coming to Columbia, South Carolina the 28th, up in Tega Cay on the 29th. You can go to coachballgame.com and sign up. You're all over the place. You plan on doing this for a while, I'm guessing?
Yeah, tell them a hundo. You know, when I hit 100, I'll just pass it on to my daughters. But my daughters they're growing so much. They're 8 and 4, and going from town to town and meeting a lot of these new people, and they're just picking up the importance of this on this trip. So this is something I'll look forward to every year. And on top of this, I'll fly from place to place and do satellites along with my MLB duties. I'll fly to Salt Lake City in April. I'll do a Florida swing every February during spring training. Arizona every March. I'll get to Texas, and then in the hot months, I'll get to the Northeast and I'll get to Canada as much as I can. So, as much as my wife will let me get on the road and she can handle the kids at home, I'll do it because it's necessary for sure.
No doubt about it, man. And all of us, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to have everybody on here. Like, this is a visual. It's not just you fighting this fight. You're kind of leading it, but you have all of us behind you right here, right now. And you have so many more, I know, all across the country, all across the world, really, man. It's a very important thing, especially after everything we've gone through as a human race here in the last couple
Yeah.
of years, man. And really appreciate it. I can't express our appreciation enough.
Honored, man, and I can connect with every coach out there. I started as a really bad one. I was a bad youth coach. I was all about performance and wean out the non-elite player, and I would be passive aggressive and negative and try and win at all costs. And I was a guy that played through college. I had been there, done that, and here I am still coaching the wrong way. So I get it. I was trying to do it the right way, but it took some mentors to say, why don't you just put your arm around this kid and ask him, what's going on at home? How are you? How are you doing? How's your mental health? And start there. And man, just changed my whole way of thinking.
Coach Ballgame, really appreciate it. And I know you've helped us today. You're helping the game of baseball. You're helping kids everywhere. Again, you can go to @CoachBallgame all over the social media. You can sign up on CoachBallgame.com to come out to the Sandlots, Columbia and Tega Cay, coming up on the 28th and 29th. Gentlemen, appreciate all of your time, and maybe we'll do it again sometime.
I love it, Tim. We're going to call you Ryan Reynolds because that's just what you look like.
Wow. I got to tell my wife. I'm going to tell her immediately that she will address me as such, and we'll be good to go, man. I couldn't have asked for a better nickname.
I might have to keep you away from my wife. There you go.
Much appreciated. Coach Ballgame, ladies and gentlemen. All the other youth coaches that have helped me out along the way, or I've come across along the way, really appreciate their time hopping on today. And man, inspiring.